Welcome to Alaska Weather, a production of Alaska Public Media and the National Weather Service, Alaska Region. Produced and broadcast daily from the studios of KAKM, Alaska Weather provides complete forecasts, public, marine, and aviation for all of Alaska. Alaska Weather is made possible by the following sponsors.
The National Weather Service.
Hello everyone, thanks again for joining us here at KAKM for Saturday's edition of Alaska Weather. On the warning map here, one area, winter storm warning, came out this afternoon for the Klondike Highway near White Pass for tonight through tomorrow, looking for 16 inches of snow to fall in that area by tomorrow afternoon or by late tomorrow afternoon. And moving on to satellite imagery, you can see a lot of moisture coming again from south to north here from the actually the North Gulf Coast all the way across much of the southeast, across the panhandle here, flowing northward on into Canada, and low pressure here down near Kodiak Island or just to the southeast there. That's circulating showers and moisture up again from Kodiak all the way up to the Kenai Peninsula and western Prince William Sound over to the northeast there, and then some moisture also across western Cook Inlet. Otherwise, there's kind of some variable clouds up over the central and eastern interior today with light winds, and then another system out here over the northern Bering Sea. Kind of a weak frontal boundary right through here, bringing some areas of light snow and flurries with it, but gusty winds up to the northwest there along the western Arctic coast on down in toward Kotzebue Sound. And then back out to the west, another low pressure area, south-southwest of Shemya there, but the front in and just past Adak, and that beginning to spread some moisture in toward the eastern Aleutians and the Pribilof Islands, and otherwise just some scattered showers of rain and snow here over the Alaska Peninsula and southeast Bering. And we'll see this up here to the north, that bringing some showers into the southwest coast there, that low center up near St. Lawrence Island, and some clouds in over Norton Sound. On the chart this afternoon, there's that low near Kodiak Island, southeast flow bringing the numerous showers up along the southern Kenai Peninsula on up into Prince William Sound, and the main rain area now back toward Yakutat and into the northern southeast coast and on down to the south. A few showers up along the central Alaska range, and we had a band of snow extending from the eastern Arctic coast back on down to the southwest, where got into some blowing snow and the stronger winds here. Again, 20 gusting as high as 45 miles an hour from about Point Lay on down in toward Kivalina and Point Hope, and then some scattered areas of snow showers or flurries here with this frontal boundary. Again, pretty weak, and that mostly mixed with rain and mixed rain and snow down over the Bristol Bay area and along the Alaska Peninsula, some scattered showers there. And a little bit of a break right through here coming into the eastern Aleutians today, and then back into the rain, gusty winds here with that frontal system sliding eastward, and that will continue to push east tonight. So it looks like rain for the Nikolsky, Unalaska areas. Should stay dry for the Alaska Peninsula here, but those winds will swing around from the southeast and start to kick up to 25 to 35 miles an hour in gusts. Otherwise, just a little bit of light snow here from the western Alaska range on back to the northwest there across maybe the Kobuk Valley and on back along the northwest coast. Still snow and blowing snow occurring with those gusty east winds up along the western Arctic coast, and that band of snow slowly lifting northward, but should produce some light snow or flurries, patchy fog along the central and eastern Arctic coast through much of the night tonight, possibly clearing out there over the north slope, staying fair here over the interior, Tanana, Upper Yukon Valley areas back across the Koyukuk, excuse me, with light winds. And then that system here kind of links up with the frontal boundary off to the east. So we've got an occluded front again coming up to the North Gulf Coast. That'll increase the precipitation again tonight through this area. And most of the rain will fall, or the heaviest amounts will be over the northern southeast coast. More of a cloudy condition down to the south. That high holds over British Columbia, at least for another day. Otherwise, for tomorrow, that front moves eastward there with a band of rain across the Alaska Peninsula, Gusty east winds up across the Pribilof Islands for periods of rain there. Showers for the eastern Aleutian areas on Alaska on out toward Atka. Kind of a mixed rain and snow shower for Adak in that area. And then the colder air way back out there to the west. So snow showers towards Shemya. This low shifting back to the west a little bit. That'll still bring a chance of some snow showers into the St. Lawrence Island area. And this very weak boundary now, just some flurries or areas of light snow with mostly cloudy skies there from Kotzebue, or actually the Chukchi Sea on down into the interior. A little bit of light rain and snow again over western Cook Inlet right up to the Alaska Range there. And then still southeast flow is going to keep some moisture in over Prince William Sound. So periods of light rain, Cordova over toward Whittier and down along the southern coast of the Kenai Peninsula. Mostly fair conditions, partly to mostly cloudy skies or variably cloudy from the Copper River Basin up across the eastern interior areas, the upper Yukon Valley. Much of the North Slope looking pretty good. Still a risk of some flurries over toward Barter Island, and still a little bit of snow blowing and drifting with the east winds continuing for the eastern Arctic coast there, and also in advance of this front. So all the way down to Point Hope, possibly Kivalina for that condition there. And then kind of showery there here for Kodiak Island, southeast flow, bringing some moisture northwestward there right into the Aleutian Range area. And got a low tracking up to near or just west of Yakutat, so periods of rain continue. Again, the snow warning out through tomorrow afternoon for the Klondike Highway up there towards Skagway. And also chance of rain along the southeast coast, but much of the eastern areas there looking pretty dry with high pressure holding over British Columbia. Then down to the south here, a low center coming onto the map. That's going to move quite rapidly during the night tomorrow night, and by Monday afternoon we'll track back to the northwest here and kind of drag a front right along the coast there. So pretty good gradient out in advance of that. So look for small craft advisories, minimum gales on the south coast there with rain over much of the Panhandle, moderate to heavy at times up around Yakutat over toward Elfin Cove. And also this system driving eastward to the south, but a little bit of moisture will still make its way up to the southern Kenai Peninsula there into Kamishak Bay. Occasional light rain, patchy fog, Kodiak Island, and some moisture up the west side of Cook Inlet once again, but the interior looking mostly fair, partly to mostly clear skies with windy conditions still across the North Slope and the Arctic coast there. Windiest conditions will be back along the western Arctic coast, again from Point Lay down to about Point Hope, but lighter winds now over the western interior areas, and a chance of rain and snow across Bristol Bay. That'll extend out toward the Pribilof Island areas. The low center keeping a chance of showers in along the Alaska Peninsula. And we've got some pretty brisk northwesterly winds pulling some colder air in, so snow showers there for the western Aleutian become pretty numerous out toward Shemya. It's most of the Arctic air dropping southward out over the far western Bering. And temperatures this afternoon ranged from the upper 30s to upper 40s here for the Panhandle, 48 down at Klawock, 47. Sitka, 38 degrees by contrast there in Juneau. Some pretty good rainfall amounts again here across the southeast coast where Skagway Wrangell and Juneau as well as Yakutat all getting over an inch of rain today. And Valdez getting about 1.5 inches of rain in that same 24-hour period, 32 degrees. So most of that fell as snow. Whittier getting nearly 2 inches of rain in the last 24 hours. But temperatures kind of varied here, 43 at Cordova, 35 Kenai and Anchorage, 34 at Talkeetna, 38 degrees up at Delta, and off the map there, Northway had 19 this afternoon, as did Tanana, 20 degrees in Fairbanks, 7 at Fort Yukon, and also up at Umiat, 7 degrees, and Anaktuvuk reaching 7 as well, mostly in that 0 to 10 degree range along the Arctic coast, 20s here back to the northwest, lower 30s for the Seward Peninsula areas, up 28 at Teller, 34 over at Gamble on St. Lawrence Island, 34 also there at Unalakleet, McGrath at 22 this afternoon, Ambler 21, and then 30 degrees at Bethel, lower 30s here along the southwest coast, Macoriac at 32, as was St. Mary's, 35 at St. Paul, and again 30s here for the Alaska Peninsula. Chignik did reach 40 degrees, mostly in the 30s, or all in the 30s, out for the central and western Aleutian areas, lower 40s for Kodiak Island. Lows for tonight, 30s to lower 40s here, except warmer along the south coast, and upper 20s to lower 30s for south central Alaska. Most areas staying this side of zero through the Tanana Valley, except some areas of the north slope here dropping below zero, Barrow 2 below. Much milder, though, to the southwest, all in the 20s, all the way down to Bristol Bay, 30s for the Alaska Peninsula and the Aleutians. Highs for tomorrow, teens here over the eastern interior, 20 over the Copper River Basin, back into the mid-30s again, south central Alaska, 40s for the Panhandle, also for the Alaska Peninsula and most of the Aleutians. Flying weather with that continued south to north flow of moisture. Look for IFR conditions from roughly Port Alexander right up across the northern Panhandle to about Yakutat, and some local IFR, western Prince William Sound, and also along the western Cook Inlet areas up to the western Alaska Range there. IFR at the front spreading into the Alaska Peninsula. That'll cover much of the Bering Sea and the Pribilofs to northward there near Nunivak Island. Areas of IFR along the Arctic coast getting a little more widespread here over the Chukchi Sea. And passes for Anaktuvik, both Anaktuvik and Atigun, good VFR flying tomorrow through those passes. Lake Clark and Merrill, marginal VFR lower on the eastern entrances, occasional IFR there. That same pattern for Rainy as well, IFR in the eastern entrance, otherwise marginal. Windy, marginal VFR with VFR conditions north side. Isabel, VFR north, otherwise marginal. Mentasta, VFR, possible marginal VFR for the southern entrance. Tanita, VFR. Portage, marginal, look for some IFR on the eastern entrance. Chilkoot and White, IFR. Freezing levels here, 2,000 feet up over the west central interior, kind of a warm pocket up there. Otherwise, 2,000 feet, Kodiak Island into the northern Panhandle. Quite a gradient down the southeast coast there at about 8,000 feet over Dixon Entrance. Icing threats, could be some occasional widespread moderate rime icing below 12,000 feet here, patches of it there along the southeast coast. Some lingering icing, Prince William Sound, western Cook Inlet, and then below about 10,000 feet to light to very isolated moderate rime here for the Alaska Peninsula up into the Pribilof Islands and also the eastern Aleutians. Upper level wind flow chart showing a strong jet here across the Pacific, well south of the Aleutians, kind of splits in this area with one branch heading northeast across the northern Panhandle at about 100 knots, and then on to 9,000 feet. Southeast 40 knots across the Alaska Peninsula and into Bristol Bay. Otherwise not too strong in the winds here, 10 to 15 knots from the south to southeast over the eastern and central interior, but much stronger, 35 to 40 knots over the southeast coast, 25 knots on the North Gulf Coast, northerlies 30 to 40 knots out over the western Aleutians. And at 3,000 feet, still some pretty strong winds here over the southeast coast, much lighter but still south-southeasterly. Anywhere from 0 to 15 knots over the interior, and then it picks up to 25 to 30 knots over the Arctic coast there. Southeast 30 to 40 knots here, Alaska Peninsula, and then the stronger northerlies out to the west. Turbulence-wise, occasional moderate chop, Alaska Peninsula to Cape Newenham, and then farther back out towards or west of Adak, out towards Shimia, and occasional moderate chop here right across the southeast coast as well. And after the break, I'll be back with a look at the marine forecasts.
Working, traveling, or playing on the water is a way of life for Alaskans. But Alaska's cold water and harsh conditions can quickly turn any boating trip into a life-threatening emergency. Unlike marine mammals with their natural insulation and buoyancy, humans can't survive in Alaska's water without additional flotation and protection from the cold. Immersion suits are designed to provide the flotation and insulation a person's life depends on in a cold water emergency. Immersion suits, sometimes called survival suits, have been around for a long time. Today, there are a wide variety of sizes and designs available. There is no best brand of immersion suit. All should meet United States Coast Guard standards and have a label inside indicating Coast Guard approval. Having a Coast Guard approved immersion suit on board is just the first step. For an immersion suit to protect you in the water, it must fit correctly, be properly maintained, and be stored in an accessible location. You must also practice putting on your immersion suit quickly to make sure you can do so in an emergency. Commercial fishing vessels operating in cold waters are required to have an immersion suit of the proper size for each individual on board. The only way to find your correct size is to try on an immersion suit. Make sure it'll fit over the clothes that you typically wear on deck. Check to make sure the hood seals around your face, that your hands fit into the gloves, and that the suit will not ride up over your head. If it does, large amounts of water can enter through the hood, decreasing your chances for survival. If you are a between-sized person, try another brand of suit. One brand may be cut too large for you, while another brand may fit perfectly. In an emergency, you must be able to identify the correct size of immersion suit quickly. If there are different sizes of suits on board, mark them with easily recognized objects such as a whistle, a light, or some additional reflective tape. This will aid in quick identification, especially at night.
Hey Pat, how are you doing?
Hey Jerry, how are you doing?
Well, pretty good. Broke the zipper on my suit, so I guess I need to get another suit for this trip.
Well, you bet. We got them right here.
When buying a new immersion suit, take a moment to examine the features and make sure it fits you. All immersion suits have a waterproof zipper. This is one of the most important features of the suit. Take a moment to make sure the zipper works smoothly and has a handle that is easy to grab. Immersion suits come with a wide variety of gloves to suit individual preferences. 3 or 5 fingered gloves are common, but may be difficult to work in. Removable gloves provide the most dexterity, but they are difficult to keep watertight and often cause your hands to get cold quickly. Try out different gloves to determine which type best meets your needs. Pockets for lights and other survival gear are an important feature on an immersion suit. On some brands, you can add pockets which zip into the flotation collar or slide over the arm. All immersion suits have a face flap that protects your nose and mouth. Some have Velcro attached to the back of the face flap to hold it open while donning the suit. Many immersion suits also have one-way exhaust valves built into the legs. These valves are designed to let air out without letting water in. They're intended to prevent trapped air from causing a person to float head down in the water. To be Coast Guard approved, an immersion suit must include the following items. It must have 62 square inches of retroreflective tape placed so it can be seen when a person is floating in the water. It must have a light with a dated battery. It must have a pillow or a collar that provides additional flotation. This additional flotation is very important in rough seas. The flotation collar is inflated by pressing down on the tip of the hose with your mouth and blowing air into it. When the tip is released, the valve closes and air can't escape. Make sure the tip of the hose moves freely without sticking. If the hose has a locking nut, make sure it is always set in the open or down position. Finally, Coast Guard regulations require immersion suits to be marked with the name of the vessel or the owner of the suit. Ask your immersion suit manufacturer for the type of marking ink they recommend. Immersion suits should be inspected at least once each month. If properly maintained, they will last many years. The zipper on an immersion suit should receive careful attention during each inspection. Green on the zipper is a sign of corrosion. To remove corrosion, try cleaning the zipper with a toothbrush and a slurry of baking soda and water. Rinse with fresh water. If any green is still present, repeat the process. If this doesn't remove all the corrosion, immediately remove the suit from service and send to a factory-authorized facility for repair. Immersion suit zippers need to be regularly lubricated with a non-petroleum lubricant recommended by the manufacturer. Spread the lubricant on all sides of the zipper. Be sure and lubricate the locking teeth on the back of the zipper. Slide the zipper up and down a few times to spread the lubricant evenly. Don't forget to lubricate the snaps on the stowage bag to assure easy access to your suit when you need it. Inspect the suit for holes, rips, burns, and grease or oil. Carefully inspect the seams for leaks in the hands, crotch, and other areas. Repair any damaged seams with a sealant recommended by the manufacturer. Pull gently on the inflation hose to make sure it is not loose. At least once a year, inflate the flotation collar to make sure that it will hold air overnight. Check the light for any sign of corrosion. Make sure to use dated batteries and replace any that are expired or soon to expire. Test the light. Inspect the retroreflective tape. Yellow tape should be replaced. After using a suit in a swimming pool or in salt water, rinse it thoroughly with fresh water. It is best to dry your immersion suit in a well-ventilated area, out of the weather and out of the sun. To prevent destructive mold and mildew, it is important to dry both the inside and the outside of the suit. In the off-season, remove your immersion suit from the bag and store it indoors. This will keep the suit dry and allow the neoprene material to maintain its loft. It is highly recommended that suits be inspected once a year by an authorized service facility. Immersion suits must be stowed in an accessible location out of the weather. Look around your vessel and find the best place with ready access in all kinds of emergencies. The zipper should be stored in the open position with the zipper about an inch up from the bottom. This will allow the suit to be quickly donned in an emergency and give you room to work the zipper down if it jams. Put plastic bags in the suit so it will be easier to get your feet in quickly with boots or shoes on. Most suits should be rolled, not folded. Roll the suit up beginning at the feet and moving up the legs. Be sure the face flap is left open, either inside the hood or attached outside to the hood on the pad provided with some brands of suits. Roll the hood over the body of the suit, fold the arms across, slide the suit into the bag, and snap the bag shut. A slightly different method is used for Bailey's immersion suits. Bailey's recommends their suit be folded along the line of the zipper. Fold the suit into thirds and place the suit inside the Bailey immersion suit bag.
Gales tomorrow for much of the coastline here, south-southeast 35 to 40 knots, but much lighter there for the north coast. And gales for Stevens Passage, southeast 35, otherwise 30-knot winds for Clarence Strait and small craft advisories for northern Lynn Canal. For Monday, 30 to 35 knot winds here for from the southeast for much of the coastline, with small craft advisories all the way to the north, and southeast 30 for Clarence Strait, otherwise southeast 20 for the central and northern inside waters. Prince William Sound tomorrow, easterlies at 15 knots, southeast 15 here for the North Gulf Coast, a little more southerly there for the Barren Islands, on down toward Kodiak Island, northeast 15 to 20 for Cook Inlet. And for Monday, small craft advisories here for Kodiak Island, easterly gales in for Kamishak Bay with small craft advisories for southern Cook Inlet, much lighter northerlies there for the northern inlet, and then easterlies 30 knots here all along the North Gulf Coast in across the Barren Islands. Prince William Sound, northeast 20 with higher gusts. And for Bristol Bay, east 25 knots, small craft advisories for those southeasterlies there for the Alaska Peninsula with seas up to 15 feet there on the Pacific side, and southeast 30 knots from Sitkinak all the way out to Cape Sarachev. And then for Monday, much lighter winds here coming down to 15 knots, still carry some small craft advisories there up towards Sitkinak, and east 25 for Bristol Bay turn northeast here along the peninsula. And for the Aleutians, north to northwest 30 knots here in the western areas, and northerlies at 25 for Adak and Atka. And for the Fox Islands around Unalaska, they're for southerlies at 20 knots and turning around northwest 15 to 20 back toward Nikolsky and to the west. And then for Monday, you've got west to northwest 30 knot winds here for the western Aleutians. Then we get into some good gales here from the central areas, Adak and Atka, all the way to the east, and then it drops off to about 30 to 35 knots for the Fox Islands with 11 to 16 foot seas. And up along the southwest coast tomorrow, south of Nunivak Island, east at 25. North of the island, southeast 20. St. Lawrence Island, south 25 knots. Easterlies at about 25 for the Pribilof Islands. And for Monday, those turn north at about the same speed, so small craft advisories there, as well as south of Nunivak Island. East winds 30 knots north of the island all the way up to the northern Bering Sea there. 20-knot winds from the northeast, more northerly here around St. Matthew Island. And for the Arctic coast, I've got brisk wind advisories here for the central coast all the way to Demarcation Point, and then gales here for the west side all the way down to Cape Thompson. And then we're into the small craft advisories from Wales up to Cape Thompson, again with heavy freezing spray. And those winds diminish considerably here on Monday, but still 30 to 35 knot winds for the western coast, brisk wind advisories for the central and east coast, so really not much change there for the next couple of days. And for tonight, up there could be some occasional light snow the entire stretch of the coastline, a little blowing and drifting up here in the northwest ahead of that weak frontal boundary that keeps a chance of snow here over the western interior down to about the Alaska Range, and moisture coming northward with this front. Periods of rain for the North Gulf Coast, and showers diminishing there for Kodiak Island. Most of the rain over the northern Panhandle, with the winter weather or the winter storm warning for the northern Klondike Highway to White Pass again tonight and into tomorrow for up to 16 inches of snow falling there by tomorrow afternoon. Otherwise, drier for the central and southern Panhandle, and pretty nice here over the eastern interior areas, with a little bit of moisture left over here over the west, and showers again spread into Kodiak Island. Rain for the Alaska Peninsula over to the Pribilofs. And for Monday, again, kind of wet here over the south and southwest interior, wetter and windier for the Panhandle.
These forecasts are to be used for planning purposes only. Call 1-800-WX-BRIEF for a formal pre-flight briefing. Always file a flight plan before you go flying. The U.S. Coast Guard Auxiliary urges you to leave a float plan with a friend or the harbor master before you go boating. Alaska Weather is made possible by the following sponsors.
The National Weather Service.